will join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. So that was your history on the first March on Washington. So now let's fast forward to 2020, to today. August 28th, 2020, in Washington, D.C., there will be another civil rights movement march. It's led by Reverend L. Sharpton, who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King, and also many of the families that I stand with today as part of families who have been terrorized by police murders of their children or their family members. And so what a lot of people don't know is that this movement that we're in today, this movement, our movement, is a part of the new civil rights movement. It stands for social justice and change coming about. It stands for making the police accountable for their actions. It stands for making the lawmakers and the police officers transparent in their actions, in their duties. And so this is an awesome thing that's about to transform, that's about to take place. The new civil rights movement, with this new March on Washington, march on the same day, August 28th, 2020, it's 52 years later? Yeah. 52 years later, it's going to be big. So there, even with COVID, there's over 40,000 people who have registered to attend the march. My family will be there on the front line, marching with with Reverend Al Sharpton and other families. And we just wanted to talk about the impact that we're having right now on history, on society, on our nation. So just by joining this meeting, just by listening and hearing, everyone's making an impact right now on what's going on in our I'm saying hi to Zion and Courtney. What's going on in our nation. And so I just want to applaud everyone for being actively supportive in this cause. So here's what you need to know about Sharpton's March on Washington. So this Friday, Al Sharpton will lead his Get Your Knee Off Our Necks March on Washington, which is the name of the march, Get Your Knee Off Our Necks. The event is being held by Sharpton's National Action Network in partnership with the NAACP, the National Urban League, AFSCME, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, the Hispanic Federation, the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, and others. So it was announced back in early June amid the international George Floyd protest. The march will take place on August 28th, the 57th anniversary of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, and was expected to draw tens of thousands. But the nation's coronavirus situation has since changed. So parts of the South and the West have seen explosions of case numbers, and in the district, transmission rates are above the target threshold. What was that? Sorry. So, which makes the idea of pulling off an in-person national rally rather daunting. As a result, NAN has had to rethink what a national gathering might look like. There will still be a social distance central rally on the National Mall, but auxiliary rallies and virtual offerings will help keep crowd numbers to a manageable size. So here's what you need to know. When is the event and how can I attend? So attendees will be allowed to enter the designated area around the Reflecting Pool and Lincoln Memorial at 7 a.m. Attendees will need to have a ticket to attend. So you can register ahead of time at NAN's website, but walk-up tickets will still be available. To gain entrance, attendees must wear a mask at all times and pass a temperature check at the 17th Street entrance. Masks will be available for those who don't have one. Pre-programming will run from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and the regular program will run from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. At 1 p.m., the group will make a socially distanced march from the Lincoln Memorial to the Martin Luther King Memorial. So what it's going to look like. There will be a limited spaced out seating at the Lincoln Memorial Circle. Some of those seats will be reserved for those with mobility issues. The rest will be up for grabs on a first come, first served basis. The rest of the attendees will be cordoned into sections of a grid that will run the span of the Reflecting Pool to help ensure social distancing. Each grid will have banners and other reminders of COVID safety guidelines, and volunteers will ensure that attendees are keeping apart. The actual march will be led by Sharpton, Martin Luther King III, members of George Floyd's family, and other special guests such as the Stephon Clark family. The crowd will be released one grid section at a time to march behind the Lincoln Memorial and along Ohio Drive to West Potomac Park. Brief remarks will be made there, and volunteers will be present to enforce social distancing. So who's expected to speak? The official lineup is still being confirmed, but expect addresses from Sharpton, Martin Luther King III, Civil Rights Attorney Benjamin Crump, my mother, Miss Sequita Thompson, is expected to speak, the family members of George Floyd, Donna Taylor, and Eric Garner as well, in addition to members of Congress. So, much of the pre-programming will feature speeches from local youth activists and DC families that have been affected by police violence, among others. Black Lives Matter DC organizers have been invited to speak as well. So, how many are expected to show? They don't. So, like I said, how many are expected to show? The last time that I checked online, it was at 40,000. All of the hotels and local hotels and things are sold out. This is a major event. This is us really having an effect on our nation's history. This is us really being activists. Like, I used to dream about being back in the Black Panther days, okay? And just being a part of something that meant something, and now we're at that. Unfortunately, it's because of the murder of my sons and the other families and the murder of their children that God will turn everything around for what the devil meant for our bad, for the good of those who love him. And so with that being said, our children's lives are not in vain. Their deaths are not in vain. They are helping to change our nation. They are helping to change our way of life. And I'm just proud to be a part of it. And I just really hope that everyone is really grasping what's going on right now in our nation. It moves me to a place of optimism and hope and pride. And pride. I know I'm not going to cry. I said I'm not going to cry, but it's so, oh my God. It's like, does anybody get that we are really a part of something big, okay? This is something that we're going to be telling our kids and our grandkids about, the same way my grandma used to tell me about Martin Luther King, the same way my mom used to tell me about the Black Panther Party. This is us now. We're doing something now. And so I want you all to just take a minute to just reflect on that our voices matter, that what we stand for and what we teach our children to stand for, it matters. And so I'm not going to start preaching, but I'm so affected by what's going on. And I'm just thankful. I'm not going to be there, but I'm so thankful that my family will be there, that people that I know, Zion, that people that I know are going to be there. And they're going to come back with pictures, and they're going to come back with stories, and I'm going to be a part of that. So I just want everyone to really just think about that and share with your family members, share with your children, tune in virtually. This is going to be history in the making. August 28th. This is exactly 57 years later. And so now we have Devontae coming in. He's our other special guest. I want to ask my mom some things about just how she felt about being. Don't log in and just come on over here because it'll give too much negative feedback. Okay. So sorry, you guys. So I want to ask my mom. I know that how old were you when you were only like 8 or 9 when they had the March on Washington? You were born in 55.
I was about 12.
12. So do you remember it?
I remember the march, and I remember when I was at school when Martin Luther King got killed. I was at school, and I was crying because my mother already had told our parents about Martin Luther King. That's why we moved from Oklahoma to Denver, Colorado, and then my mother had my brother and sister, and we moved to Sacramento. But during that time, they had the Black Panther when we came here, and that's when Huey Newton and Angela Davis, and matter of fact, Oakland and them came down to Luther Burbank. So my mother didn't want nothing to happen to us, so she changed me over to Kennedy to go to school. But I was in Luther Burbank district. She says, no, because they're fighting. I don't want nothing to happen to you guys. But I remember the stories my mom used to tell us about Martin Luther King. And I used to love to hear him speech because my mother-in-law would have it on TV, and he was fighting for our rights. And I remember we used to wear our nachos, and then I remember that when we said, "Say it loud, we black and we proud." That was with James Brown. I mean, it was just so fun because all the families was together. We was all sharing that. Mama was having Sunday dinners and telling us all about the history and everything. So that was good. That was good growing up. Knowing Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. See, I didn't know nothing about them in no school. They didn't teach us that in school. When we got out here, we didn't know nothing about. If it wasn't for my mother, I would have never, and my father never let me know about the history. So that's why I'm grateful for. And yes, I'm ready to go out there and say, "Shut, what is it? Black and I'm proud."
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, and another thing, I've been talking to a lot of families from Minnesota and also from Baltimore. Her name is Dee, and Mr. Henry, him and his wife will be coming too. And they're telling their children about this history too. So a lot of people are bringing their...
We lost the sound. Back up.
Yes, a little bit more, baby. Right there. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so that's why I am honored to go, and I thank God, and I'm praying for my safety and our family, and pray for our family here too, and everyone that for safety, because just because we're going out of town, that don't mean that we're going to be safe everywhere. So that's why I'm just keeping up, praying up, and just trusting God, and everything will be okay. So I got my faith in Him. But yeah, I love back in the days.
Thank you for sharing that. It's nothing like getting the history from someone who experienced it. It's nothing like sitting with your elders or finding someone that's an elder in the community and just sitting up underneath them and learning about something that we don't know about. I didn't know this much about the marches until now. I didn't know. So I'm just so thankful to be able to be a part of this. My son Devontae is also going to be attending the march, right along with Reverend Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton calls him his little brother.
Right.
He calls him his little brother, and Reverend Sharpton loves him some Devontae. So, why is that? Okay, so Devontae, I wanted to ask you, what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on attending the march? And so you missed the history of the last march, but to catch you up to speed, we're reflecting on the significance of the march today, or this Friday, and how it's exactly 57 years to the day of the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech. How we are being an active part of the new civil rights movement. We're on the forefront. So when they go back in history and they read who attended the March on Washington in 2020, it's going to say Stephon Clark and AM Stephon Clark. And I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about being a part of that, being a part of the movement?
I feel like
Take the mask off.
I feel like, we shouldn't be here doing this. We should be giving what's ours. It's been too long. We've been marching too long. I'm tired of marching. But we got to keep marching. I'm going to march till the day I die. I want accountability and justice. Just like a lot of the families watching or who are tuned in right here as well. But marching is good, but I think we need to go further when it comes to actionable items. What are we doing after the march? Are we going to be bridging the gap between law enforcement and at-risk communities so there are no more Stephons? Are we going to...
A little louder.
Are we going to be informing and educating on policy and legislative change after we march? Are we going to be providing resources and healing spaces for those in need in our community, starting our own de-escalation tactical teams, starting our own restoration teams, coming up with our own resource centers, so on and so forth? We have to do the hard work. And I think marching is good, but I think we need to, just fighting mean is good when it comes to Kaepernick situation. But I think we need to focus on now actionable items. What are we doing now to really commemorate the life and legacy of not just Stephon, but Martin Luther King Jr. in a positive light, Malcolm X in a positive light, Emmett Till, Khalif Browder, Oscar Grant, Sandra Bland, so on and so forth. What are we doing now? I think we need to be doing the hard work, and I'm ready to do that for the rest of my life. So, yeah, but I think this is big. I think this is amazing. What's going on with the march? This is my first time marching in D.C. I've been to D.C., but I've never marched in D.C., so I think this is historic. I love making history and being part of history. So, but we're doing this to also call for accountability on all levels. So that word's not going nowhere. We're going to still fight for accountability, despite any haters or whatever you might see or hear. We're going to keep fighting and doing the good fight.
Right. And so, because the truth is being proved, we won't even touch on that. So another thing I wanted to ask you is...
No, I just want to say something else.
Devontae, you're not going to interrupt the flow of the meeting. Thank you. We're talking about the March on Washington. We're talking about history being made.
I don't get my ass on the line.
Hey. Especially in front of your mom, your grandmother, and your little sister.
Grandma said ass.
So anywho,
the Bible says
he's my spoiled little baby.
What's his name?
God bless
killed 100 men with the jawbone of an ass. Remember, Grandma?
Stop it.
What story was that?
Okay, I'm going to ask you to leave.
Okay, all right, I'm done.
So, I wanted to ask you, I'm scared to answer the question now. I wanted to ask you one more question. If you could say one thing to the youth that won't be at the march, if you could say one thing to the youth that will be coming up after the march, what would you want them to remember about you and this march?
That I came up with solutions. I came up with actionable items. I wasn't just out there marching and talking. I was out there bridging the gap, going and traveling to D.C. with the chiefs of police, taking transformative policing classes. I was out there not only advocating after the death of Stephon at the state capitol, but I was out there working for Measure U. And hold on, I can go on and so on. I created AM Stephon Foundation in jail within 6 days. I would tell the youth that, you can't be lazy. You got to go out there and do the work, the hard work. I created my own business because people expected us to wait for some damn settlement or whatever. I created my own business. I get paid off speaking to Zoom calls. We are self-made. This family does not depend on anybody and nobody. So, and we got God on our side. So I would tell the youth to go out there and go start a small business. The future of our kids and our community are small businesses. These kids need to learn how to fish. They need to be intellectually independent for community sustainability. Colleges are going to be just for doctors and lawyers, okay? So
they muted it. Yeah, they cut them off. You'll get the point.
Individualism. I would tell the kids, don't be consumed by materialism and individualism, and don't just stop at marching. Go to actionable items when it comes to community sustainability and intellectual independence. The future of our communities and our children are small businesses. The average millionaire has 5 to 7 incomes. I want all my children to have at least 12. Shaquille O'Neal says, to touch any of my cheese, you have to have at least 3 degrees. So we got to start teaching our kids how to fish and start thinking for themselves so that way they can sustain in this cold, cutthroat, heartless world.
He just took us to church, y'all. I'm just going to say, preach, Pastor. That boy just took us to church. You got me over here like, okay, well, how many degrees? Amen. So thank you, Devontae. I wanted to give a background on NAN because NAN, which is Reverend Sharpton's organization that is hosting the march, also stood up and came to Sacramento Press. National Action Network is about exactly what Devontae is talking about. The National Action Network stands for actionable items. And so that being said, I want to give you guys a little bit of history on this. So there was no Sacramento chapter of NAN until Stephon was killed. Reverend Al Sharpton, I spoke with him for the first time in my life, 3-4 days after Stephon was killed. Devontae, I was laying upstairs in my mom's bed, in the bed upstairs, and I remember Devontae running in the room with the phone saying, Reverend Al Shelton on the phone, Mama. Reverend Al Shelton want to talk to you, Mama. He want to talk to you, Mama. Right?
Yeah. So Al Shelton, I'm trying to get Stephon name out there, and I'm like, let me call Trayvon Martin lawyer, let me call Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, let me call Martin King and them, everybody, right? So then I get up Al Sharpton, and Al Sharpton get on the phone, and the first thing Al Sharpton says is, he says, what do you want? And nobody ever asked me nothing like that in my life, you know? So I kind of like froze, like, talk to my mama. And then I ran upstairs, get a phone to mama. I guess she said the same thing to me, then said to her. And she was like, think of the funeral.
Give the eulogy. Miss Poe was dead.
Yep, and that was that, and that's how it really.
And he said, okay.
Yeah, just like that.
He said, okay. And let me tell you something about Reverend Al Sharpton. He get a bad rap. I remember coming up and everybody talking about Reverend Al Sharpton, how he was an attention whore. He was in there for the fame and the money and whoopty whoop and that, right? I remember his perm. I remember when he was fatter than me. You know what I'm saying? I remember Al Sharpton, okay? And so a lot of people don't know when we opened up the Sacramento chapter of NAN, he came down here and he loves our family, but he really has a special place in his heart for Devontae. And so he gave his testimony, and because he said that he gets so much backlash for embracing Devontae. And he said, a lot of people don't know that why I wear my hair like this. They always clown me because I still wear my press and curl, right? He said they still clown me to this day. He said, but they don't know that when I was a young man, how James Brown scooped me up underneath his wing and used to lace me. And when James Brown went to the White House, he took Al Sharpton with him. He said every time James Brown would hit him up, he'd be like, you still got your hair done, boy? Because the first time he took him with him to get his hair done, he's like, don't you never change your hair. You better keep your hair perfect up with these rollers.
Calling him from jail.
And so he said he was calling him from jail and everywhere, like years and years and years, like, you hide your hair. And so Al Sharpton to this day, that says a lot about his character. That man, James Brown, is dead and gone. And he still got it. He's still rocking the press and curl. And so he said that's all the young men, all we need is for them to have someone to slide them underneath their wings, to show them something, to teach them something. So I'm really speaking to you men on here right now, whether you have sons or not. I know you got nephews. I know you got little cousins. I know there's little boys that y'all walk around in the neighborhood, wherever you're at. You'll see pull somebody underneath you. Grab somebody and teach them something. And show them some love. They don't get no love. It's so hard to get love around here. It's so hard to get love, especially from men. Men don't love on each other like how women do. We wish, but a man will always need another man in his life, and so I just want to encourage you guys about that. But Al Sharpton, in my opinion, is one of my elders. He is a man of integrity. He says what he means what he says. He's loyal. He's loyal to his fault. You don't find that today anymore. It's so rare to find someone who will go stick with you through whatever. And I called Reverend Sharpton one day because he told me after the TV cameras is gone, after it all died down, if you need, he said, call me. Right? And about a month later, I needed a place to live. And I called that man. Mama said, well, he don't answer his phone quick, so you gonna have to probably hit his assistant up. I called him right here. I called him on Al Sharpton's phone. I left him a message. This is Clark. He said, if I needed you to call you, and I'm calling because I need you. And I hung up the phone. It wasn't 5 minutes. That man called right back. Hey. It wasn't 5 minutes. It wasn't not 5 minutes. He called me right back. And that next morning, I had an overnighted $3,500 check, like get up in somewhere, and I did. So this is the people that we're gonna go march with. We have to know the history behind somebody.
And also, let me say this: Al Sharpton doesn't ask for this credibility. We're giving it ask for credibility.
Yeah.
When I had to start my foundation and my business and all that, my startup money came from the Reverend Al Sharpton. I mean, I got a lot of startup money from speaking publicly after George Floyd and whatnot at protests, but a lot of my money came from people like Al Sharpton, and Paul Blanco and all the other people that have been there helping me from the gate. That a lot of people don't know because they get bad raps. They don't brag about it, but I don't mind telling people who helped me get started. But at the end of the day, you know, these people are.
But at the end of the day, you know, this is a collective effort. Nobody's going to get the resource center done but us. You know, we gotta know that. Bringing people down, you know, two wrongs don't make a right. Bringing people down don't get nothing done. Trying to tear each other apart doesn't get nothing done. Everybody knows I've graduated mental health court. I've been through a lot of things. I've cussed out Sharpton out numerous times. I cussed him out on Instagram as well. You know, I cussed him out publicly. You know, I may not Sharpton got into it. I've got into it. I know that I think that I've hung up on Diddy a few times. He learned anything for us.
Yeah, you know, I've done a few things. I wasn't in my right, you know what I mean? And after George Floyd died, I kind of lost it again. You know, remember?
Yeah.
And
you did.
I did. Yeah, I lost it. After George Floyd died, it brought me back to,
right.
Yeah.
It was all over again.
It was, yeah.
It was running.
The only difference between Stephon's situation was when George Floyd died, when Stephon died, my passion wasn't directed. And when George Floyd died, even though I lost my mind, my passion was directed. That's how I started the foundation, the transportation company, the merchandise company, the farmers market, the de-escalation team, the restoration team, the memorial page. We did what else is there? The Stephon Clark Sundays, the food and face mask giveaways, the orientations, the all different things. We got street signs, all different types of stuff we got done. You know, but what I'm trying to say is that our passion wasn't directed that first time around, and I was going through it, and now my passion is directed, and I went through it. You know, again after George Floyd. You know, these things, police officers are going to keep killing us until we get together and do something. I am not the story. I am not the news. The news is there are 2 killer cops out there patrolling the streets of Sacramento, running through other grandmothers' backyards of Curtis, running through other grandmothers' backyards. Right now, Terrence, Mercadal, and Robinet are still on the streets, patrolling the streets of Sacramento. The same cops who murdered my unarmed brother right here, who had nothing in his hand but a cell phone, are still working the streets today. My grandmother had to sleep in a haunted house. Those cops are still working the streets today. That district attorney who has never fought for the rights and causes and fights for oppressed people, she still has her job as well. She has not been recalled as well. She got paid. Yeah. She actually took in 13,000 days after Stephon was killed, and through her 10-year ordeal as district attorney, she took over $250,000. So this woman does not represent our fights, our rights, and our causes. You know, so what we need.
Her days are numbered.
Yes, her days are seriously numbered, and I just want to say, you know, everybody loves everybody. This world is so divided. The divisive rhetoric going on in this country, going on in this city. I tell you, sometimes it makes me want to get up and move to Puerto Rico. All right, but that's still in America, unfortunately.
Right. So, you don't fix it at home first, just run it.
Well, you know, the thing about Sacramento is, you know, California is the 5th largest economy in the world. Sacramento is the capital of this place. You know, with so much politicking. We have so many.
Oh, you know now.
We have so many activists. And look, these people, you know, and they want to cause divisive rhetoric and they want to hate on the Clark family. First off, we didn't kill nobody in nobody's grandmama's backyard. We didn't shoot nobody. We didn't lie on nobody and say they had a gun, a tool bar, or a crowbar. We didn't put nobody text messages and emails and websites out there. You know, all we did was say, you know, we're going to take this horrible situation and try to help feed our community, try to build resource centers, try to build recreational centers, try to build museums. And we have so much paperwork. We have all the paperwork done, literally all the paperwork done. We can hire people right now, delivery drivers. What else we got? Social media
managers, business operations specialists and technicians. We're looking.
Yeah, to jump on a young man you're looking for your Rock Nation team.
For the fathers.
Yeah,
so we have it's called the School of Promise Project, which falls underneath the commemorate pillar of this AM Sac 6. And to commemorate and honor the legacy of Stephon Clark in a positive light, I chose to have a section to where we will honor Stephon, the young father, by helping other young fathers who like to get a career, furthering their education by going to trade school or college and get a scholarship to pay for that. And so what the NFL has done is joined on board with us in that vision, and it's giving scholarship funds of $5,000 once a year in the name of Stephon Clark to the recipients of our children.
Hey.
So that's an actionable item.
Actionable items. Hello.
So I'm very proud of that. Is that what those are? Okay, so.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna go to the questions.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to questions now. You see,
we get talk.
This family right here, we all
talk your ass off. Talk your. Sorry, we're sorry for saying ass. A word that's in the Bible.
Just come on, respect your grandma and your mom.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna open the floor up to questions or comments or remarks.
Can I say something else? Okay, never mind. I got testimony. Taylor gotta say something. Say something. Say something.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Kaylin Bobalin.
She's not so fast with a fucking name Jayla and a head like an alien. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't playing.
No,
ain't nobody coming to see you, Odie.
Be quiet. So let's let them know a little bit about Kaylin. That little baby right there, she's so full of joy. She's so anointed. She's such a blessing coming in and going out. She was here when Stephon was killed.
Yep.
She was the last one to see him alive. She stood up and looked out that window and seen her brother fall down after being shot. And she's still full of joy. Okay?
Amen.
Not only that, she also seen another dead body because I had a house.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Heights, and a man died in my house.
And Kaylin came and told you.
And Kaylin told me. I didn't know he was dead, you know. And Kaylin discovered the body on her birthday. And so Kaylin has seen death multiple times. And so we have to understand, we have to love these children, be with these children, and we have to listen to them. We're praying for the kids, putting food in their mouths, putting money in their pockets. You should step the hell away from them.
He's not a parent just yet, so, you know, anywho. I'm really encouraging people to have a comment or a question. Please.
I think they wrote.
I have a comment.
Hi, Miss Friday. How are you?
Hi, how's everyone?
We're good.
I just wanted to comment on the part that the district attorneys don't really want to prosecute the police. Even in my son's case, he had a cell phone. He did not have a weapon. And even though it was a mistaken identity and they admitted to that, she still refused to prosecute the officer. Now, we have asked several times, and even your grandmother and your son came down to City Hall with us and stood with us at City Hall concerning to get him off the streets and put him behind a desk. A month and a half ago, he just murdered another family member.
Oh, no.
Yes, he just killed someone else.
What?
We warned him. He stalked my family members. He done all sorts of unethical acts. And now he have murdered someone else's loved one. And I know that the district attorney, once again, because the police union paid them money to not prosecute the police. So how is police policing themselves?
Hello. We're not showing it. Okay. I'm so sorry to hear. I'm so sorry to hear that, Miss Friday. My heart goes out to you. I know that a lot of people don't realize that when something like that happens, it resurrects our children. And we have to go through the murder all over again. So I am so sorry. My condolences go out to you. My heart goes out to you. And whatever you got planned, let us know so we can be there to support you.
Because Stockton has failed, Miss Friday. The city of Stockton is failing. Stockton is miserable. I love Mayor Tubbs. I love you, Miss Friday. I love Sister Dion. I love everybody. I just seen this Stockton on my mind.
Yeah.
I just
Wow.
watched it.
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay, so
Back in the trailer.
But just because you seen the trailer.
Don't do that.
Well, you hit me. All right. Anyways. I seen the Stockton on My Mind documentary, and I was watching that 17% of adults 25 and older in Stockton don't have a college education. That's horrible.
17%?
Yeah, 25 and older, 17% of the population in Stockton don't have.
What is it for Sacramento? Do you know?
I don't, but Stockton needs help, and Stockton is the sister city to Sacramento. So Stockton's problems are Sacramento problems,
right.
And I think we need to. The reason me and my grandmother go to Stockton so much is because we stand in solidarity with Stockton, because Stockton is Sacramento, and Sacramento is Stockton.
Right.
You can't say the name Stephon Clark without saying Kobe Friday.
Right.
You can't say the name Kobe Friday without saying Stephon Clark. So we fight for accountability in all levels, and I think the system is. I think it's more crooked in Stockton because even if you look at the last mayor who's facing charges from the FBI in Stockton, it's just power, money, and corruption and greed and like I said, materialism and individualism has gotten the best of our elected officials. Any more questions or anything? Oh, I want to say something. I want to say one more thing. Tomorrow we're doing free giveaways of sack bags for 5 families, 5 people. And this is going to be for people, of course, in our underrepresented and at-risk communities. So if you know anybody that thinks should be sponsored and gifted a sack bag, we're doing 5 giveaways tomorrow. We don't touch that. We have the church fans. These are my favorite. Our family will be signing 100 of these, so you'll see all our signatures on there. You can use these in the streets to commemorate life and legacy in a positive light. So
we have a question right here.
Okay.
Okay. So Brittany, she'll be in DC marching with us. Thank you.
Can you all touch on alternative policing?
As a community that you were speaking on the NFL Real Talk. Yes, Rain Jackson. Thank you for your question. So what I did was I highlighted, before I answered it, I'm sorry, Miss Belinda Seifert had a question, and
you just answered it. No, I don't know.
No, let her go first because I said, okay. Miss Belinda?
Yes, I've been emailing you, Stephante, and I've been trying to get in touch with you in the office because I'm really, the reason why I tuned into this meeting is because I really applaud you for the.
I can't hear you, Belinda. You gotta speak up, sister. I can't hear you, Belinda.
We can't hear you, honey. Zion, mute your page, please. I did it. She unmuted. Oh, I didn't record it. Okay, go ahead, Miss Belinda.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so she's not going. So on to the next question, which was from Rain.
She on.
Brooklyn, if nobody's saying anything, can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to say I'm so excited about the traveling on Wednesday, and I just want to thank you, the family, to give me that opportunity to be part of a history. After how many years? A long time. And I am just so excited. And I just wanted to say everything we do with Stephante, we are directing, the chaos to purpose. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, the positive things we're going to do, we're going to be doing. We're not going to be distracted with anything else, and we're going to have to unite as family, as people. So anything comes into our way, we have to ignore it and get rid of it. So we're going to be stronger and even better in the future, because AMSAC Foundation is going to be helping our kids, our grandkids. Like Stephante says, generation to generation comes. That is the vision we're going to be focusing on, regardless. And God is good. He has given us that vision through Stephante, and we're going to make sure all of us, that vision is going to happen, no matter what. This is our kids depend on it. Honestly, it's not just, our kids and grandkids. So we're going to work so hard, tireless every day. And we'd like you to have support in our AM Stephon Foundation doing all the work right now. And we're going to be moving on and going marching and doing all the things we're supposed to do going forward. And I am so excited for the future. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Zion.
And Zion, your hair is beautiful. I love it.
I got it done finally.
And then she said she wanted to speak on, because my mother to speak on the alternative policing of the community that you were speaking on the NFL Real Talk. That's what Ryan was saying. And I want to say something before she goes into that. There's two types of policing I think can help when it comes to bridging the gap. And I believe that is, number one, evidence policing that is based on research, that is policing based on. So that's saying if there is a problem on the alley, you don't just get the call, dispatch the officer to the alley continuously. What you do is you call, you find out what the problem is on the alley. Is there street lights missing? Little alleys scaring people. Are the parking garages blocked in the alley? You do the research. Why? That way you don't just keep coming to the same call, wasting taxpayers' dollars. That's one type of policing I believe can help. It's evidence. That's research policing, evidence policing. The second type of policing I believe can help when it comes to community sustainability and life sustainability is community policing. Community policing is when an officer is actively being engaged in the community. If the officers have a relationship with the community, my grandfather had lived in this house for how long?
50 years.
There was no relationship with law enforcement. They did not know the community. And he's been here over 50 years. Imagine how many captains and sergeants and police have went and patrolled the area. So, we'll get to the next question in a second. She was back. So imagine how many people have lost.
The video froze, y'all. We was asking a question about policing.
I've been 2 times actually. So I've sat in a room with cops, and I'll tell you this right now: the cops don't know nothing. They don't know about the community. They don't know about the gang politics. They don't know about our problems, our fights, and our rights, our mental health issues that go within our community. They don't know. They don't know our struggle. And that's why I say we need our own. And I am starting our own de-escalation tactical teams, because enough is enough. I'll be damned if I call my killer, on myself or anybody on my family. I call the people who and then we're not saying all law enforcement. We are not anti-law enforcement. We love law enforcement. There's some good officers out there. Tommy Norman. If you look at Tommy Norman, he's the guy to look at when it comes to community policing. If you want a picture of what community policing look like, Google Tommy Norman. Tommy Norman. Okay? I'm talking about actionable items. Everybody on with this talking and march and shit, that's getting played out for me. All the meetings and the forums and shit. Sorry. All I'm saying is we need to if we're going to say the cops are doing a bad job, we need to give them solutions. We need to say, hey, officer. Yeah.
So what he just said is basically the community policing goes back to what I said on the Real Talk show. Was that, thank you, Raymond, also for watching the show. But what I said was if we adopted the essence of the beat cop again, if we adopted the essence of the beat cop was an officer who grew up in the community that he serves and protects. His family is known by every family member, by every family in the community that he serves. He would be the person who would de-escalate and defuse the situations. He would be the mediator in arguments or in circumstances. The beat cop was who the people of the community went to, and it wasn't considered snitching because it didn't lead to police reports or arrests. What it led to was de-escalation. What it led to was diffusing of a situation or preventive measures. It prevented the crime from taking place. So if the beat cop or the essence of the beat cop cannot be once again implemented into the police officers' training, or hiring process, then we just need to go ahead and move forward into the de-escalation tactical teams. That's my saying.
I mean, you gotta respect.
And those are our opinions.
Yeah, and you gotta respect black people. You know, black people gotta quit dying. Black people gotta stop dying. Period. You know, the police, the end of the murder of black people by law enforcement by this country, the genocide people trying to lock